Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to start. If you could please clear the center aisle and find your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready to start. If you could please find your seats. Silence all cell phones and beepers. Ladies and gentlemen, in case there's a relative who for whatever reason can't make it there, I just want to let you know that the graduation is being streamed live on drslive.com. Please clear the center aisle.
You know, it's the equivalent of like restarting a computer when it's not working. It's like the equivalent of restarting a computer when it's not working.
Upon the graduating class 2016 of the David Reynolds Scholar Yeshiva High School for Boys.
Too many faces to recognize. does that do? Yeah. What is that arrow just pressed?
Bad audio again.
Oh, very good.
No, wait, where is it?
Yes. It's no green.
Alright, so let's start.
Indeed.
Why do you guys all have all these shots here? Like,
It's from hockey.
why is it here?
Just want to bring them to the parts get back.
How do you know it's now you're just playing around? Which one should it be though?
remain standing. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join with our Executive Director, Mr. Richard Hagler, who will lead us in the singing of Vatikva and the National Anthem.
Sounds right. What do
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Once again, a reminder, please silence all cell phones and beepers. I would like to now introduce the dais. To my right and your left, Dr. Susan Lewin and Mrs. Esther Weinstein, Co-President, DRS Parent Council. Mr. Robert Fagan, School Executive, DRS. Mr. Richard Hagler, Executive Director, Hebrew Academy of Long Beach. And Mr. Lance Hurd, President, Hebrew Academy of Long Beach. To my left and your right, Rabbi Yisrael Kamenetsky, Menahel, DRS, Rosh Yeshiva, Hebrew Academy of Long Beach. Rabbi Ellie Storch, Associate Principal, Hebrew College, DRS. Rabbi Ellie Brazil, Director of Student Activities, DRS. Rabbi Arya Udin, Dean of Students, DRS. And Mrs. Helen Spurn, Head of School, SKN. I would now like to ask the graduates to please stand and face the audience. And to please join all of us on the dais in giving a big round of applause and thanks to their parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents who have done so much and continue to do so much. Okay, please be seated.
All right, you gotta stop moving. Welcome back.
How are you?
How are you? Good to see you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce the Salutatorian, Brian Chernoff.
Dear parents, grandparents, administration and teachers, family and friends. It is quite interesting that this year's graduation has fallen right after the holiday of Shavuos. I believe that there are some important messages that we can take from this holiday upon our graduation. I find it quite intriguing that if one surveys much of the modern day media and television programs, he will find that there are many references made to Jewish tradition and practice. Whether it be Mazel Tov or just a simple Oy Vey, much of our religion is the subject of much humor and fun. Many shows even dedicate entire episodes to Jewish themes, such as the Hanukkah special and the Passover special. However, I have yet to hear of a Shavuos special. There seem to be no references or jokes made regarding the holiday of Shavuos. Why is that so? Why is it that in the secular world, Shavuos is relatively unknown and rarely referenced to in comparison to the other holidays? To understand the reason for this, we must understand what the nature of Shavuos is and what we are supposed to take away from it. On Shavuos, we read Megillas Rus, telling us of Rus's heroic commitment to her mother-in-law, Naomi. Rus is epitomized as a person of dedication, who chose to leave her home of royalty and the lack of luxury in order to accompany Naomi so that she not live in solitude for the rest of her years. Despite the challenges of poverty and widowhood which lay ahead, Rus was committed to her mother-in-law. This is perhaps why we read this portion of Tanakh on Shavuos. During this holiday, we not only recall the giving of the Torah, but we relive the Sinai experience in order to reignite our tenacity to Torah study and mitzvos. It is therefore appropriate that we read about such inspiring people who exemplify lives of commitment and dedication. This is also perhaps why many have the custom to spend the entire night of Shavuos studying Torah. When we want to reignite our commitment and passion to Torah and mitzvos, it makes sense that we commit ourselves to the difficult and challenging task of an entire night of study to show our dedication to religious pursuits. This perhaps explains why Shavuos is not well known in the outside world. The secular world understands holidays as a time to relax, to forget about one's responsibilities, and to engage in the pursuit of personal pleasure. But Shavuos is representative of just the opposite. Shavuos is when we recommit ourselves to our responsibilities and obligations, and thus is not a holiday that can be understood by the outside world. My fellow graduates, this is an important message that we must take upon our graduation. Not only must we have the tenacity and commitment in terms of our religious pursuits, but all of our other endeavors must be pursued with the same 100% dedication. Only with hard work and tireless commitment will we be able to succeed in our imminent future. If not now, then when? My fellow graduates, life is too short to be squandered. We must be constantly committed to our dreams if we want to find success. Nothing in life is impossible, but nothing will come without hard work. In the words of Herzl, if you will it, it is no dream. I would like to take this time to thank the administration and faculty of DRS for being committed to our success and inspiring us to work hard. The personal care and guidance that you have offered us these past years is so appreciated. I would like to further extend my gratitude to my wonderful family for their love and support all these years. Without them, I would have not had such successful and amazing years here at DRS. I think that this message of dedication to one's endeavors is especially relevant as we celebrate the completion of Masechta Kedushin. This is the tractate of Talmud that deals extensively with the laws regarding marriage. Although we do have some time until we start thinking of marriage, nevertheless, the messages and values learned are important for everyone to remember. Some of the Torah's commentators ask, why is it that we find multiple biblical incidents of finding one's spouse by a well? Is there any connection between a well and marriage? They explain that in marriage one must act like a well. Just as a well is committed to giving and does not expect anything in return, the same idea applies to marriage. We must be constantly giving and not expect the favor to always be returned in order to build a successful marriage. As we graduate, my friends, we must always remember, to thine own self be true. Is this what I really want? Is this who I really am? Is this who I really want to be? My hope to all the graduates of the class of 2016 is that we always be seekers of the truth and commit to what we truly believe in. And that way, we will merit to lead successful and meaningful lives. Mazel tov.
I would now like to call upon Mordechai Albitan, who will make a siyum on Maseches Kiddushin, representing the learning of the entire grade over their 4 years of high school.
All beginnings are different. This is the fruit that we are all familiar with. When I was asked to make a siyum on behalf of the class, it was suggested to me to share a quick thought on the concept of finishing. However, upon putting together some thoughts to share, I realized that beginnings only seem difficult because they are transitions from a prior ending. As such, I believe it would be more apropos to discuss the beginnings rather than finishings. In Parshas Ki Tisa, the Torah discusses the famous episode of Egel Azal, where Masur shares a beautiful thought on this. On the surface, what occurred was a simple product of a major miscommunication. Bnei Yisrael miscalculated when Moshe was supposed to return, and when he didn't come down at the time that they expected, Bnei Yisrael panicked and immediately searched for another intermediary to connect with God, resulting in the keynote. Hashem, disappointed in Bnei Yisrael's actions, tells Moshe that he'll destroy all the people and build a new nation for Moshe to lead. Moshe then proceeds to break the rules and beg God on behalf of Bnei Yisrael for forgiveness. Now, let's view this episode from Moshe's perspective. Moshe had dedicated his entire life to Klal Yisrael. Since his childhood, he selflessly led them, sacrificing everything to teach them emunah, bitachon, and belief in Hashem. He was Bnei Yisrael's conduit to Hashem, and working tirelessly, leading them out of Mitzrayim through the Yam Suf and the desert, with the ultimate goal of accepting Hashem's Torah. Finally, Bnei Yisrael reached the pinnacle of these wonders and are about to receive the Torah when Moshe returns and realizes that after being with heaven for 1 day longer than expected, they turned to the evening. At this point, Moshe should have been furious with Bnei Yisrael. So why didn't he accept Hashem's offer to wipe out Klal Yisrael and start a new nation during his lead? Rabbi Mansour's answer is brilliant. The mark of a truly great leader isn't measured by the actions of his or her followers while in the leader's presence, but rather by their actions when the leader is not present. When Moshe saw Bnei Yisrael worshiping Abel, he realized that perhaps this wasn't completely their own fault. Moshe realized that in a certain way, his own leadership was lacking by the fact that his people were unable to succeed in his actions. Were they properly prepared, then this communication should not have resulted in such a quick breakdown of their belief. As such, when Hashem asked Moshe if he would like to restart with the nation, Moshe did not accept the offer. Moshe understood that Bnei Yisrael's behavior was his sole responsibility. Realizing that his leadership was incomplete, Moshe smashed the book and walked away from Hashem's proposal to destroy Bnei Yisrael. He then begs and pleads with God on behalf of his people, looking not only for forgiveness of Bnei Yisrael, but for the opportunity to fulfill his own responsibility as a leader. So, class of 2016. It's now our responsibility to complete the work of our wonderful rebellion, teachers, and administration. While in DRS, we are blessed to be constantly guided and led by such caring, charismatic, and thoughtful leaders. They monitored us, guided us, supported us, and aided in our growth. Flourishing while in DRS was certainly simplified, knowing that we always had constant support to lead. And like Moshe, our leaders sacrificed so much to help us develop. But the challenge only begins now, as we leave DRS and embark upon the next stages of our lives. It's our obligation to show just how well these teachers, mentors, and leaders have prepared us to succeed on our road. Cole, as always, questions.
As we prepare to leave the physical edifice of DRS, this beginning is making more difficult, as we are leaving such a nurturing environment. But as we leave, we bring with us the knowledge that every beginning is only a transition to our prior one. We feel so fortunate and excited for the future, knowing that we have true leaders that prepare us to fly in our airplane. On behalf of our class, I now be assigned to substitution. Tanya, the Talmud Bresa, Narai Omer, Mania Hani Kol, Manishabo. Narai says that he put aside every trade in the world. The Eni Milani is Bini El Torah, and he taught his son only Torah. Shekol Manishabo, Eno Medeslo, El Bini Dalusa. Because every trade in the world only provides benefit while bringing in income. About we made to do so, Hareku Motoverah. But when he's older, he doesn't have to. About Torah, but Torah is not like that. Omedes lo adam is aduso in a sentence law afterwards, particular is musa. It provides benefit when he's learning, and he also reaps reward later in life when he no longer can. The is aduso ma longer. So what does the pasuk say about someone when he's young? In your youth, you'll have the strength to be osik and Torah and get rewarded. What does the pasuk say about somebody in his old age? Even in his old age, be able to grow and be rewarded for the Torah, just like you were when you were young. Adon Allah Masechus Kedushin Adon Torah. Datan Allah Kolam Masechus Kedushin Datan Torah. Lo Nis Teshayinah Masechus Kedushin Lo Nis Teshayinah. Lava Ma'adin Lava Amadasi. Adon Allah Masechus Kedushin Adon Torah. Datan Allah Masechus Kedushin Datan Torah. Lo Nis Teshayinah Masechus Kedushin Lo Nis Teshayinah. Lava Ma'adin Lava Amadasi. Adon Allah Masechus Kedushin Datan Torah. Datan Allah Masechus Kedushin Datan Torah. Lo Nis Teshayinah Masechus Kedushin Lo Nis Teshayinah. Lava Ma'adin Lava Amadasi. Heroes on the Fanecha, Adonai Elohim Elohim Elohim, Shentehei Torah Tov Mirasin Ve'olam Hazeh, Shentehei Men Elohim Haba, Chanina Bar Papa, Rami Bar Papa, Nachman Bar Papa, Achai Bar Papa, Abamari Bar Papa, Rafi Bar Papa, Rafi Bar Papa, Surfa Bar Papa, Ada Bar Papa, Dor Bar Papa. Harry Adonai Elohim Elohim Torah Tov Tefilin Ufius Am Kavis Yisrael. Biniyeh Anachnu Tzetzim Tzetzei Am Kavis Yisrael. One in Yeshiva Lo Vim Torah Tefishma. Ve'ivayt Hakimin Tzvetafa Kili Elam Kili. Kihi Livi Tamim. Kaka one more Rosh, one more Ashak, Kaka, Kivan Kitani Burka, Tadana, Mandin, Kaka, Amin, Savara. What Jim and Akim Kanaka, Adonai, Santa Fakina, your Shri Sandra. Velo Santa Fakina, your Shri Promise. Shanimashkin and Behimashkin. Animashkin with the Retor, Behimashkin with the Retor, to be the farm material. Animamin, Behimashkin. Animamin, the common star, Behim, common star. Unrusin, Behimus. Unrusin, Iowa, my God. Behimusin, Burger Shaka. Shanama, Gata, redeem the Bear Shabbos, Anshidami, Mirmo, Volodevsky, Mayan, Mani Etzat. Here it's on the Panecha, Adonai, Yoan Kishem, Zertani, the sign, the Sephis Kedushin, King Azrini, the steel, the Sephis Sparm, operating the silent. Little Milam, Lishmore Bassos, the time is called Liberate Tommy to the of Yahweh. The first call Tanam Yahweh, Tommy Chachal, Yamu, Legal Zari. Zolo Tommy Chatur, Medin, Zari, Zari, Aro. The sky indeed is Halacha, Kanto, Shafaka, Ishmor Alacha, Takisota, Ki Tisika, Ki Li, Yuri, Amecha, Yosif, Lufashus, Nai, or if you be Mina, Bismillah, Osha Republic, Adonai, Ruki, Amarikin, Adonai, Break, and Sama Basha. And always the National the Ahmadi, you also the Samsa, Naya, Isaiah, Alaska, Yasum, Nai, Honda, Ulumne Karsa, Yerushalayim, Ushakala, Ifle, Gado, Umeka, Pakana, Nidra, Amin Arno, Rasaka, Pakana, Ishmael, Mirasre, Yamut, Kushok, Ritu, Yamapati, the Karek, the Kayatun, the Kayatun, the Kayatun, God was my crib in Rome. Yesh Rabbi Mivara, Kovan Bumir, Maya, He's Rabbi, Shmavis Nasei, He's Salash, Medi Kushab, the Ilm Korpas of Shirasa, Tishpatas, and everyone said, I know you want from Rome. Anisha, Yara, Yal Hamide, Yako, Hamide, Yako, Man, Yaskin, Resa, Idasha, Adin, the deep of all Asar, Yellow, Rofon, Spalmer, Rabbi, Kid, the Rapper, the China, Rikin, Missouri, Rita, the Procurement of Kedama, Unishmaya, Yara, Rome. The Ishlam, Rabbi, Mishnah, time to Malina, Rabbi, Shogun, Rome. Shalom, Rabbi, Shalom, Malina, Rabbi, Israel, Rome.
Please be seated. I'd now like to call upon Rabbi Eli Brazil, Director of Student Activities, to present the Kesser Shem Tov Award to Jacob Goldsmith.
A few years ago, an epic ESPN Classic tennis match took place between Rafael Nadal and Tim Smichek at the Australian Open. For more than 4 hours, 27-year-old Smichek from Milwaukee competed fiercely for every point against the 14th Grand Slam champion Nadal. It was 6-5 Nadal in the fifth and final set. Just as Rafa served, a spectator screamed and the serve went long and was called out. As Nadal glared into the stands, Smichek motioned that he should take a redo and retake the first serve. Nadal won the important point and the match, and the relatively unknown Smichek won the respect of the tennis world. Following the match, Smichek said, "I don't know if the guy knew Nadal was tossing the ball or not, but it clearly bothered him. You know, I thought it was the right thing to do." Smichek is just as competitive as any other professional tennis player. However, when given an opportunity, he chose to do what he called the right thing. There was no question that within the essentially trivial world of sports, Smichek showed real moral fortitude. And in that one moment, cemented his name as being a stand-up guy whose name alone signifies greatness. I cannot think of a better idea that exemplifies this year's Kesser Shem Tov awardee, Jacob Goldsmith. To acquire a good name that everyone admires is one thing, but to keep it requires constant work and effort, day in and day out, to consistently work on your midos to ensure that you're a true mensch in every sense of the word. That is precisely the reason it is so valuable and says so much about the person who has acquired it. Jacob, you personify the crown with your impeccable midos and your sweet and native personality. Over the 4 years in DRS, you have worn this crown, and I am confident that as you leave the halls of the Yeshiva, you will continue to give a good name to your family, the Yeshiva, and all of Klal Yisrael. It is my great honor and privilege to award this year's Kesser Shem Tov Award to Jacob Goldsmith.
Thank you, Rabbi Brazil, for that amazing introduction. Rishos Rabbi Kamenetsky, Dr. Kirschenbaum, even though he's not here for the time being, he's actually on TABC for his grandson's graduation. Good for him. Rishos my Rebbeim, a few that I had. Rishos my teachers. Rishos family and friends. Friends. And Rishos my fellow graduates. Thank you guys for sharing. Before I do anything else, I personally want to wish each and every one of you a huge, huge Mazel Tov. You guys, a lot of people probably think that you couldn't do it, but you did it. So, Mazel Tov to all of you, and you guys are awesome, so good job. A few years ago, we had the privilege of hearing Mr. Label Zisman come and speak to us. Mr. Zisman was an incredible individual, a man who had gone through hell and back, going through the Holocaust, not only surviving, losing everything that he had, everything that he'd known, but coming back to America, coming to America and thriving, building a family shomer Torah mitzvos, and doing extremely well, also in, I guess, money, yeah, sure. Told over a story of how he was marching to the camp of Mauthausen towards the end of the war, him and many other Jews. And at that point in the war, the Nazis were not giving any food, any water to the Jewish people. They were literally trying to starve them, told them to march, and many Jews couldn't handle the march, couldn't handle the fact they weren't being given any food, and had dropped to the side of the road and were left there to die. And Label, who had seen a puddle of water, and under those circumstances, like any normal human being would think, he wants to go drink from the puddle to try to just get the strength to keep on moving forward. And he had gone to drink from the puddle, not knowing the consequences that would soon come after. He made it to the camp, but soon after fell deathly ill and was bedridden for the remainder of his time in the camp, which was only a few days. Again, a few days later, the Americans came and liberated the camp, and seeing the skeletons that the Jews were, had given all their food, all their water, all their rations to the Jews, rightfully so, to try to nourish them, to try to revive them, to allow them to move forward to make it back so they can get further help. And not knowing the consequences of their actions, many Jews had died because they weren't able to handle the intake of food. Their stomachs, after not eating, not drinking for so long, could not handle it. Label, on the other hand, who was still deathly ill, who was still in bed, who was still sick, was unable to eat, unable to drink, was found by the Americans, and was brought to a makeshift hospital where he was soon nourished back to health. Incredible, incredible story. You see in this past week's parsha, that we were given the Torah in the Midbar, in the desert. And there's a very obvious question. Why were we given the Torah, the thing that spiritually sustains the Jewish people, allows us to be us, that we go by, the thing that we go by? Why were we given it in the Midbar, in the desert, the place that's desolate from anything physical or spiritual? We should have been given it in Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel, the holiest, most spiritual place in the world. Yet we were given it in the Midbar. Why were we given it in the Midbar? I want to suggest the following. Perhaps Hashem was trying to convey to us a message. He was trying to tell us that, your success in religion as well as your success in life can't be only based off based off the good things in life. Rather also off the difficult things in life. That in life, everyone's going to go through something. And when things are good, Baruch Hashem, everything's good, everything is great in school, and you're socially, you're on your game, and sports, you're doing well, like all the guys on the DRS varsity basketball team, they're on their game every single game. You guys can cheer for that. That's awesome. Things are going great, you have every reason to be in Eved Hashem. But when things are tough, when things are not what you want, is it still so easy to be in Eved Hashem? That's what Hashem was trying to tell us, that in life, regardless of what's going on, you still have to be in Eved Hashem, you still have to follow through. That's perhaps the reason why we were given the Torah in the desert and not in Eretz Yisrael. Many of you know me, I'm sure the graduates know I am, Rebbe, and the teachers. I hope they would at least in the year, 4 years here. And many of you know what I have been through in my DRS career. Last year in November, I had lost the person that had literally meant everything to me. Had literally taught me how to live life, how to be a person, how to be simple, and how to just live life to its fullest. I lost my mother. And to be honest with you, the time afterwards it felt like a spiral going down. I felt like life, I didn't know what to do. I felt like every step I was taking, it was just another lost step. That life was moving on, that everyone had a green light, but I was still stuck at a red. I didn't know how to go on. I didn't go to any classes, I just came to school, didn't do anything, walked around, schmoozed with a couple of rabbis, a couple of friends. I didn't talk to anyone out of school, just the way I was. Still on. But Baruch Hashem, I can say now that I have risen up and I have come here, and I'm here at this point, and I am much better than what I was before. And going through all that, I have taken out many, many lessons. Many lessons. And I've picked 3 lessons that I feel are extremely important that I want to share with the graduates and with everyone here tonight. 3 short, to the point lessons. The first one is that you never know what the plan is. Look at the story with Label and how life seemed like it was just over. He made it through the entire war, and it seemed like, he got through the entire war just to die at the end with this illness, not even by the Nazis. It seemed like the most ridiculous thing. But at the end of the day, that sickness is what saves his life. Allowed him to survive, come to America, thrive, and build a family. You don't know what the plan is in life. You have to have the emunah, though, the faith that it's going to be all right, even through the difficult times. The second lesson I learned was to never run away, but to face the difficulties head on. That in life, when you're going through something you just can't not want to face it. You have to face it. You have to go in there with all your strength, all that you got, and you got to come out victorious. I believe it was the beginning of this year, I had gone to the base and I was schmoozing with my rabbi, Rabbi Leibowitz, my shiur rabbi from last year, even though I wasn't in shiur so much. And I see you smiling. And I said to him, Rebbe, I want to go to Israel a year early. I don't want to stay here. I want to go to Israel. I want to learn. I want to discover myself, and I want to grow. And he said to me, you know, Jacob, it's great. Something along the lines of this. I'm not 100% sure what he said. I know what he said, but how he said it. And he said to me, you know, Jacob, that's great, but do you really want to go and learn, or do you really just want to run away from what you got here? And he shifted my entire perspective because I realized that he was right. I didn't want to turn away. I didn't want to learn there, but I wanted to just get away from what I had here. Everything that was difficult. You had to face the challenges head on. That's the second lesson. And the third lesson, which is a very difficult thing to understand, but I feel like once you understand it, once you get it, it's so real, it's so amazing to just finally understand. And I think Edgar Allan Poe sums it up very well with a quote I read in this paper. Never to suffer would never to have been blessed. And I was thinking about this, you know, never to suffer. You don't suffer in life, you're not going to be blessed. What would that mean? You know, suffering, blessing, didn't seem to go hand in hand. But I had come to the conclusion that what he was trying to say is that in life, when you suffer, when you go through something difficult, you realize what blessing you have. That you realize the strength that you have, the kayach, the gevura. You realize what you got, and it allows you to live life to its fullest purpose, to live life to a full purpose. That you realize the strengths that you have, and you're able to use these strengths to go on, even though something is difficult. It builds you into a better person. That's the third lesson. My graduates, my fellow graduates, there are going to be difficulties in life. It's an annoying thing to know, but it's the truth. And everyone's going to have their own thing. Whether it's doing bad on a test that you really studied for, or whether it's something at home, everyone's going to have their own thing. In the end of the day, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm nothing like that, but I am a friend. And I've seen all of you guys, many of you for all the way back to first grade. I have friends starting at the beginning of 9th grade, or DRS guys, and some guys coming in the middle, and I can say with confidence that there are going to be difficulties, but you can all get through it. And I feel like if you take these 3 lessons, 3 things that I had shared with you tonight, I feel like you're going to get really far. Because it got me where I am right now, and it's going to get me much further in life, I'm sure. Guys, may we all be zocheh to not only to realize that something's difficult, but to face them head on, to never run away, to say that it's all from Hashem, and to realize that even though it's difficult, even though it's tough, that it's going to build you into a better person. Thank you.
Now my honor to call upon the Menahel of DRS, the Rosh Yeshiva of the Hebrew Academy of Long Beach, Rabbi Yisrael Kamenetsky.
That was a tough act to follow. Distinguished members of the dais, first of all, a special thank you to Ari Schreier. Thank you so much, Ari, for coming and sitting for us year after year. Distinguished members of the dais, honored faculty, parents, grandparents, family, friends, achronim, chavivim, my dear graduates. The Aseres HaDibros, the 10 Commandments begin with the words, Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher Hotzeisicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim Bebeis Eladim. I am Hashem your God who has taken you out of the land of Egypt, the house of slaves. Our entire faith in God is predicated on appreciation, Hakaras HaTov, appreciating that which Hashem has done for us. Throughout our history, beginning with the very first act of Jewish history, the Exodus from Egypt, the 5th commandment the mitzvah of kibud av va'em, honoring one's parents, extends that thanks to the messengers of God down on this earth and instructs us to make sure to show appropriate respect and appreciation for one's parents and to all who provide for a person throughout their lives. My dear graduates, before we bid farewell to one another, it is appropriate to reflect back and show our appreciation to all of those who made it possible for us to learn and grow over these past 4 years. I'd like to begin by thanking the Davis, Renov, and Stoller families whose kind generosity endowed the yeshiva at its very beginning 19 years ago. We thank you for your graciousness and foresight in investing in our yeshiva's future. They could not have possibly known that a class that began with 27 students would now boast B'liai and Haran nearly 350. I would like to give special hakaras hatov to our lay leadership, and especially to our president, Mr. Lance Hurt, who is here tonight. Lance, your vision and leadership of HALB in general and DRS in particular has pushed us to achieve our best and has provided us with the resources we needed to get there. We are so appreciative of the countless hours, late nights, the wisdom, guidance, the strength of your integrity, your commitment to Torah and to our yeshiva. I would also like to thank our chairman of the board, Jerry Williams, our school executives, Robert Fagan, who's here tonight. Wish Robert a special mazel tov on the graduation of Eliezer tonight, and Alan Rothman, as well as to all the members of our board of trustees. Your support, leadership, sagacious guidance, advocacy, and vision propel us forward towards greater accomplishment each and every day. I'd like to thank our parent council chairwomen, Susie Lewin and Esther Weinstein, for putting in so many hours of dedicated service for our yeshiva programs, for helping us out with all of our events, for always being there for good advice and feedback. It is now time to give hakaras hatov to our outstanding administrative team. First, to our general studies principal, Dr. Kirschenbaum. We wish him a mazel tov on the graduation of his grandson tonight at TABC. Dr. K, we thank you for your 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and beyond dedication, for setting high academic expectations, and for your caring about educating each and every student with their own needs. We give special thanks to the one and only Rabbi Eli Storch. Our Associate Principal of Limudei Kodesh. Thanks so much for always lending your ear and your home to our students, for understanding them, and for always keeping their spiritual, academic, and emotional needs front and center. Thanks for so many times being my personal advisor and confidant, and for making it fun to come to work each and every day. Special thanks to our Dean of Students, Rabbi Aryeh Budin. Aside from being a fantastic, giving senior Rebbe, your work for the entire yeshiva provides vital structure for our boards, and you balance the needs of the yeshiva and those of your students with your trademark humility, acumen, and hard work. Thanks so much for caring so deeply about each student and for doing such a wonderful job. We give tremendous thanks tonight to our Director of Student Activities, Rabbi Eli Brazil. On the senior trip, I spent a few minutes with each senior, and I asked the seniors what their favorite part of yeshiva is. I also asked them what their least favorite part is. If you'd like the results of the survey, I'll be happy to provide them for anyone who needs. But one of the things that so many boys said were the special programs that Rabbi Brazil runs in our yeshiva. You are crazy organized, meticulous, and you really understand our students. Thanks so much for all of your energy and efforts, and especially for coordinating this entire beautiful graduation. I would like to give a special thank you to HALB's Executive Director, Richard Hagler, to our Associate Executive Director, Mr. Chaim Halligan. You work so hard each day to make sure that we have what we need to run a great yeshiva. We appreciate your efforts, dedication, and support. Special thanks as well to the head of school of SK, Mrs. Helen Spurn, and to Rabbi David Plotkin, principal of Hal's Elementary School, for your support during those times we have come together to continue to set the course for our beloved Yeshiva Lev. I thank you for your camaraderie and advice at all times, always putting the needs of our Yeshiva first. We wish Rabbi Plotkin Hatzlacha on his new position as principal of Yeshiva Or David in Brooklyn. His creative energy and passion will be missed. Boys, when thinking about our growth these past 4 years, how much appreciation do we have for the amazing Rabbeim, faculty, guidance, and support staff of our yeshiva. For anyone who has never done it, working with high school boys takes so much physical and mental effort each and every minute of every day. The parents are also going, yeah. We thank you, our faculty and support staff and guidance staff. We thank you for coming to Yeshiva each day with a warm smile and high expectations. We thank you for your dedication, professionalism, encouragement, and more than a little, actually a ton of patience and understanding. We thank you for exploring new educational vistas for our students with the latest technologies. Whatever the boys gained, it is only because of you. We appreciate so much the late nights, the extra hours, having the boys at your homes, and most of all, the care and concern. May the one above bless each one of you with nachas and joy from your families and the merit of all you do for the boys of our yeshiva. A special thank you to our wonderful office staff, Marley, Sue, Debbie, and Caroline. Who work hard to make sure our yeshiva functions like a well-oiled machine. We appreciate your tremendous care and dedication to what often seems like a thankless job. Special thanks as well to Andre, Freddie, and the rest of the maintenance and security staff for keeping our yeshiva safe and clean and for always willing to go the extra mile. Finally, we have such deep feelings of hakaras hatov, of appreciation, to the parents of our graduates. Thank you so much for the endless carpools, the positive support, the constructive criticism, and most of all for entrusting our yeshiva with your most precious possessions. May we continue to share great nachas together. Ad Mea Esrim Shalom. My dear graduates, it is now my great pleasure and privilege to share with you one final piece of Torah. We just read the other day of the 10 Commandments that I mentioned before, on the morning of Shavuos. And right before the 10 Commandments, the Torah has a very interesting verse, a very interesting passage. Vayidaber Elokim es kol hadvarim ha'eleh leimor. And God spoke all of these things, leimor, saying. What is this leimor? He spoke all these things. What do you mean he spoke all these things? Saying, leimor. So Rashi says something very, very perplexing. Rashi says this word leimor teaches us. Shehayu omer ma'al hein hein va'al lav lav. That for the positive commandments, the Jewish people said, yes, we will do it. And on the negative commandments, they said, no, we won't do it. What's even more interesting is that if you look in the Medrash that Rashi is quoting, this is actually a dispute between Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yishmael says, on the positive commandments, they said, yes, we will do it. On the negative commandments, they said, no, we won't do it. And Rabbi Akiva says, no. Hayu omer ma'al hein hein va'al lav hein. Rabbi Akiva said, on the negative commandments, they said yes. And on the positive commandments, they said yes. What in the world is going on with this Medrash? What is this dispute between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yishmael? Did they say yes to the yeses and no to the no's? Or did they say yes to the no's and the yeses? Quite strange indeed. One time I was down in Florida at a simcha. I was in a Chabad in West Palm Beach. There was a rabbi there, Rabbi Shiner, who quoted an answer from Rabbi Yossi Dov Halevi Soloveitchik. I was surprised that a Chabad rabbi was quoting from Soloveitchik. And I had never heard this explanation before, and it really stuck with me. A beautiful, beautiful explanation. Rabbi Yishmael says that when you hear something, when you hear a teaching, you have to be discerning. You have to think. You have to identify. So if someone's telling you yes, then you have to respond yes. If someone's telling you no, then you have to respond no. Show you over mal hein, blah, blah, blah. That's what Rabbi Yishmael said. When there was a positive, they said yes. When there was a negative, they said no. So what's the logic of Rabbi Akiva? What's Rabbi Akiva talking about? Salvation explained Rabbi Akiva had a different perspective. The Jewish people, when they were standing beneath the mountain, they almost weren't even listening to what God said. God, whatever you say, it's all going to be yes. You say no, we'll say yes. You say yes, we'll say yes. Whatever you say, we just say yes to whatever you're offering to us. We just want that relationship with you. If you tell us no, we'll say yes. If you tell us yes, we'll say yes. My beloved graduates, for the past 4 years, we have given you the tools to probe, to analyze, and to understand carefully Jewish and general knowledge. You have been given the wisdom to discern the difference between right and wrong. We have challenged you with new ideas in so many new subject areas. We have taught you Gemara, Chumash, Navi, Halacha, philosophy. You have responded in kind with working hard to appreciate what is permitted, what's the hain, and what's forbidden, what's the law. What is good for your development, and what you need to stay away from. We have implored you to think about how you spend your spare time, to use your time wisely in the service of Hashem, community, and mankind, and not to waste time. We make choices every day, whether to say hey or to say la, to say yes we will, or to say no we won't. In your general studies as well, we have pushed you to work hard and to grow, and to learn so many new disciplines, new technologies in science, math, English, social studies, and so much more. You have mastered much, understanding how to appropriately achieve in each individual area. We have modeled for you appropriate character traits, stress and humility, care and concern for others, dedication to community, love for the state of Israel, love for every Jew, and respect for every human being. We have tried our best to prepare you for a complex world filled with hains and lavs, do's and don'ts. We have attempted to lay for you a foundation for your life. Yet, in addition to this, we have also taught you that for a Jew, it all comes down to emunah pshuta, to that uncompromising belief that Hashem, God, the master of the universe, watches over us. And as Jacob so beautifully said, a lot more beautifully than I could, even when things don't go your way, even when there's a lav in your life, or times get tough, or Hashem hides his face from you, he is still there, peering from behind the curtains. Sometimes, like Rabbi Akiva said, a Jew must respond, alav hain. Even when it looks bad, it's all good. Even if I am presented with a challenge, even when I feel far away, your parents and our staff have imbued you with a love of Judaism, a love of Hashem, that will hopefully stick with you and last with you throughout your entire lives, whatever challenges life throws your way. At the end of the day, like Rabbi Akiva said, it's all, even alav, hain. How I personally enjoyed learning and singing with you for the past 4 years, especially last week, the great time we had together in Virginia, listening to you at the last senior Kumzitz, the beautiful Tish at my home, a couple of Friday nights ago. You are certainly a grade filled with unique personalities and diverse talents and abilities. So many of you have already made decisions to really grow and develop yourselves in so many areas. I urge you to go work hard and make your mark on the world, and to remember that there is much pain and love in the world. So you will need to keep your eyes and ears and hearts open. However, Always remember that at the end of the day, Hashem is always there to listen to you, no matter the challenge or how far away a person feels. One last comment that I make to each and every graduating class. Please remember that you don't have to do this alone. Every person needs a Rebbe, a mentor, a guide, not just for Psak Halacha, but someone they consult with, who knows them, and who they can trust to help advise them through the challenges of life. The Mishnah teaches us, Aseh Lecha Rav. Perhaps it will be your congregational rabbi, a Rebbe in Israel, or in your post-Israel yeshiva, or it might be a Rebbe who had in our yeshiva. Our yeshiva wants to keep up the relationships with you to whatever degree you find it helpful. Please come back to visit your teachers and rabbeim, to use your base medrash in your gym. Know that you're keeping up this relationship is a tremendous source of strength for your teachers, who realize you appreciate that our relationship is a real one. I look forward to visiting with you next year in Israel, in your colleges, and to getting together with you at alumni events. May we finally merit together to see that day when it's all al hein, when Mashiach unites us all in Yerushalayim HaKodesh. May that day come and here be Amen, Amen. Mazel Tov, class of 2016.
It is now my pleasure to call upon the valedictorian of the class of 2016, Yoni Goodman.
Honorable rabbis, distinguished teachers and faculty, special friends and family, and of course, my fellow graduates of the class of 2016. Before I begin, I need to take a moment to thank my family for being the bedrock foundation of all my past, present, and future successes. Thank you. Joseph Hartman was born on March 16, 1930, to a large Jewish-Hungarian family. Just like us, he was born into a house of privilege. Unlike us, however, he spent his high school years in subjugation, starvation, and suffering. He spent what should have been his freshman year not worrying about adjusting to a high school workload or a new social environment. He worried about the constant threat of anti-Semitism and the impending Nazi invasion of his country. He worried about losing his family, about losing his life. As a sophomore, he did not travel to school on a bus every day. Rather, he was stuffed into a crowded cattle car, no food to eat, no water to drink, and little air to breathe, and shifted to a camp designed to maximize his pain. He watched as his parents and siblings were sent in another direction towards imminent death. In what should have been his junior and senior years, he was fortunate enough to make it through the Holocaust, but he was forced to face a reality with a home gone, family lost, and an innocence destroyed. In his early adulthood, he did not suffer from countless rejections from colleges, but rather from countries he simply seeked to live in. Still, he recuperated and prospered, worked hard, and committed his life to making sure his children would never suffer like he did. So tonight, I would like to dedicate my award to him, a man who displayed much more perseverance, determination, and courage in his high school years than I did. Most admirable was his steadfast, passionate hope, a hope which guided him to survive against the fear that the Nazis administered. So let his story serve as a testament to the strength of hope and its ability to constantly prevail over fear, even in the darkest of times. In today's world, more hope is needed than ever before. So remember the power of hope, internalize it, and seek to achieve it. Call out those who selfishly perpetuate fear and become beacons of hope, because if we do, the world will be a much better place. The Mishnah in Sanhedrin says that a single life is like a universe. If you change one life, you will change the universe. So we change the world person by person, day by day, action by action, word by word. Every action we take will have unknown consequences far beyond the brevity of our human existence. As Mother Teresa once said, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. Joseph did not survive only because he had hope. He survived because of an act performed by another Jew at the concentration camp, his older brother, Mati. After months apart, the brothers reunited in a chance encounter at a working camp. They happened to be put to work right next to each other. Upon meeting, Moti immediately vowed to give half of his daily portions of food, half of the little bread that he got, to his younger brother. It was at once such a simple act, and yet an extremely brave deed. By making the simple decision to place the hope for his brother's survival over the fear for his own malnutrition and possible death by the Nazis if they found out, Moti literally changed the course of history. Joseph is my grandfather, my Sabayasi, and if Moti hadn't shared that little piece of bread with his brother, I probably would not be here trying to inspire you all with his story. All he sought to do was change a single life. Yet, in the end, he changed the world. Miraculously, they both survived, as did many more Jews. More importantly, our nation and our faith survived. They survived because of millions of people who made millions of decisions like the one Moti made, placing hope over fear, optimism over negativity, love over hate, others over self, and perseverance over apathy. The choices that we face every day should be made with the same principles: to unite and not to divide, to focus on our similarities and not to highlight our differences, to appreciate diversity and not to advocate xenophobia, and to construct bridges and not to build walls. You can change the world in the slightest of moments. So stop on the street to give $1 to the homeless man begging for money. Take the time to read your younger brother a bedtime story. Exert the effort to smile consolingly at the sad cashier at the grocery store. Because you never know how far $1, a smile, a bedtime story, or a piece of bread, for that matter, will go to make the world a better place. Every small act you take can change the world. Remember, you don't have to be extraordinary to do something extraordinary. My fellow graduates, I don't know if I can change the world. I don't know if any one of you can change the world either. But I do know that if we have hope, we will change the world. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to thank very much Mr. Eli Zamek for always being there for us at each and every graduation, as well as thanking Mrs. Lori Kirshner and her entire committee who helped us make this seating at this graduation an unbelievably smooth thing. Thank you, Lori. Okay, first of all, on behalf of myself, I want to thank all of you because you have been the greatest audience of any graduation I've ever seen, so thank you very much. Just some housekeeping issues. The graduates are about to come up for their diplomas. Each and every one of the graduates is important to us and is important to someone sitting in the audience. So I ask you, please, do not stand, do not take pictures. We have a photographer here. The pictures will be available to you. Please make sure that from the first graduate to the last graduate, each one of the family members gets to see their graduates. I thank you in advance. Second, please do not get up before the graduates have gone to the back and finished the recessional. Once that's done, there'll be a collation outside. You can access the outside tent either through the door here or the door there. And beginning at 8:45 in the Beis Medrash, which is across the way, there will be Minyan from Maariv every 15 minutes, starting at 8:45. I'd now like to ask Rabbi Kamenetsky, Mr. Lance Hurt, and Mr. Richard Hagler to please stand to present the diplomas to the graduates, as well as the Parent Council Co-Presidium, Dr. Lewin and Mrs. Esther Weinstein, to present gifts to the graduates. First row of graduates, please rise. Yoni Guttenmacher. Brian Chernigoff. Jacob Goldsmith. Mordechai Abitan. David Kai Abramshayev. Akiva Ackerman, Nathaniel Aharon, Natan Alper, Rafi Appel, Eitan Aryan, Tania Atias, Zev Ben Ami, Yehuda Ben Hamun, Jonathan Berger, Danny Butasas, Jeremy Brody, Yitzchak Carroll, Diane Cement, Natan Davidowitz, Rafi Davudi, Jacob Deutsch and Yoav Deutsch. And at this time, I'd like to ask a longtime faculty member, Mr. Bob Deutsch, to come up and take a picture with his grandchildren. Jordan Idlis, Michael Fagan, Levi Finger, Jojo Fishman, Donnie Friedman, Isaac Fries, Moshe Glass. We'd like to wish a special mazel tov to Rabbi Mrs. Heshe Glass. Mikey Gross, Josh Hammondport, Simon Heimowitz, Aaron Herman, David Herman, Jordan Hirschfeld, David Itzkowitz, Alec Jerome, Josh Kantrowitz, Eitan Kasevitz, David Kaslau, Aaron Kopsky, Mikey Konigsberg, Simon Kredlick, Ellie Kunstler, Gabriel Leifer, Josh Lent, Adam Lerner, Chaim Levine, Judah Levine, Jason Laskov, Zach Lowinger, Ariel Masterov, Gabriel Miller,